Alright, welcome to part 32 of my video series, How to Build a Neck-Through Bass. For this installment, we are going to make a truss rod access cover for the headstock end of this bass. I have two styles of truss rod access shown here. This is where it's accessed on the headstock. That's for my 34 and 35 inch scale builds. Anything 33 inches or shorter, I do access here, Exhibit A, different bass. Now there have been some 33 and even 32 inch scale builds where the customers requested it be at the headstock, and that's fine, I'll do it that way. It is easier to get to though when it's down at this end. The reason I do headstock access on a 34 or longer is because of the length of my truss rod, and I think I talked about this earlier in this video series as to why I put it there. So you'll probably find that when you let me see here, if you go back to let's find it, part 5, yeah, part 4, part 5 of this video series. Anyway, it's time to make truss rod access cover. I use pickguard material for that. I actually have a pre-cut electronics cavity cover that I'm going to use for this because I'm out of additional stock. And what I'll be able to do is I have my template that I literally trace onto this piece of pickguard material, and I should be able to get two out of this one piece. So what I'm going to do is take this little scoring punch device that I've constructed from a screwdriver, and I'm going to use this to scrape and trace. Alright, now there's a few different ways I can go about cutting this out of here. I'm going to go ahead and trace that second one. There's obviously the bandsaw. I've got a pretty aggressive blade on my bandsaw right now, and I'm having some issues with the lower bearing which needs replacing. So we're going to use my fret nippers to cut these out. And this works. Let's see, let me try these. Alright, we're going to have to make one careful cut on the bandsaw right down the middle. And this is going to sound like a bunch of bolts rattling in a bucket when you hear this thing fire up. But we'll get through it. Let me put my glasses on here. Safety first. Okay. Well, that was terrifying. So we have these very horrible, crude-looking things. Now we're going to take, I may as well do both of them, take them over to the edge sander and shape them up. And again, I'm just going to trace to the very side lines that I scraped on here. Let's take this one. This won't work. There we have it. All right. So there's that. There is a angle to the back, so it's going to sit flush right up against the string nut. Everything's looking pretty good here. I'm going to change one thing. Sometimes there's some back and forth. My angle is just a little bit off. Okay, there's that. I have to do it right here with a block. Okay, so we're going to go with that. That looks good. Right on top, I'm just going to punch a little marker for where the screw hole is going to go. Right there. We're going to drill that. leave that bit in the drill because we're going to need that in a sec. Now we're going to go to the drill press. I've got a countersink bit that's chucked up. I'm going to change bits. We're going to go with this one. Same size. This one just has a cleaner cut. And it's marked at the right depth. Always mark your drill bit with tape. You don't want to drill through a headstock. That would be bad. Alright, little tiny black screws. Hiding from me somewhere? Where are they? Here they are. I always install these by hand. Too many things on the headstock you could slip and scratch. I would not want to scrape up the tuners. I don't want to put a big dent in the front of the headstock. I'd just rather do it slowly by hand and have control. There we go. Truss rod cover is on. Now the electronics cavity covers. That's the next part of this this video. Now that is something that I do have pre-cut. The guy that laser burns my logos also laser cuts my electronics cavity covers, and that's a big time saver on the Pro Player model because it takes a while to sit there and cut those things out by hand, shape them, fit them. You can burn up an hour or two easy making one cover. So in order for it to work smoothly for me, I pay him once or twice a year to make these and cut them out. It's very dusty, sorry. So let's flip this around so you can see what I'm doing. Put these the way they're going to go on the instrument. I have some templates that I use. There is still some handwork involved here. There's my master. We're going to take this, lay it right down on top, and we are going to mark where we want our little screw holes to go and live. So one here, and one here. Same with this guy. We're going to take those over to the drill press and countersink. Come on, Mike. here's these. We need to do a couple little prep work things before we start putting these on. Let's see, battery compartment foam. Yes, please. I keep some of this foam on hand. What that's going to do is go right in here on top of the batteries. I don't want those batteries rattling around. I'm going to go ahead and remove the plastic film. Top here. We're going to set this cover down. This is for the batteries. Holding that, keeping everything equidistant. Go ahead and tell those holes where to live. All right. Using very low torque, I'm going to put these on. Alright, now it's time for the big one. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some copper shielding on the back of this. Let me turn the camera around so you can see what we're talking about. There's a little lip, see there on the top? That's going to make contact with the copper that I'm going to put on the back of this one. So we're going to do that now. Trace this. Copper side looking up with the back side, the inside looking up, right? That's how I want it oriented. We're going to cut just inside that line that I scored. I don't want this hanging over the edges. I just want it adequately making contact on the inside of the perimeter. Sure it's as clean as possible. That's a relative term in a shop like mine. Trying to get the paper to separate from the copper. There we go. we have it. Go ahead and remove the plastic film. Now I'm going to take this off and be sure that there's no wood dust that settled in there. Be sure it's all blown out and clean. I took my compressed air and blew this out because it was a little dusty from earlier. All looks good. And there we have it. Electronics cavity covers installed. Truss rod access cover installed. Alright. Next on my list, we're going to be looking at part 33. That's going to be the knobs, the strap buttons, and signing the bass with the signature and stamping the serial number. We're getting down to the end here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.